Okay, we're live.
Sweet. Um, yeah, so I ended up working a lot over the weekends because I was not able to work on the game during last week, so I kind of got the development bug and made up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I was working on the deck builder, which before didn't actually have the deck selection screen, so now you can create decks and select them. And we've got cards. Before it was literally just a little rectangle that showed the card name, which was not very informative, especially if you've never played the game before. So we've got card name, the card cost, creature type or card type, and what the card says. So you can just click on the cards over here to add them, add and subtract here. Technically, there's a cap, but we took it off for testing, so it'll stop you from going up and over. And then if it doesn't meet the requirements, it'll be broken and tell you what the problem is. But Magic Mike's deck is good, so if we go to play a match, it'll only allow us to choose the ones that work, which is good. I can ready up. And then we got um, the same cards that we selected. Uh, So then another thing that I ended up working on was drag selection, um, as well as this card timer. So before we had a turn timer, which was in retrospect not a very great idea. So got rid of that, and now we just have a card draw timer, which can be modified during gameplay with cards. If your hand is full, it won't do anything. If you play a card and there's space, oh my goodness, and there's space in your hand, it'll
Whoa.
fill up and then draw a card.
You have a
Um,
card that plays a player base? Interesting.
yeah, uh, just for testing.
That's strange.
Um, so currently, I was working on drag selection, and it's world space right now. So you can select units by drag selecting like this. And currently, there's a bug where they don't look highlighted, but they are technically under control. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but we'll fix it. You can drag select and then shift drag select to select a whole bunch. I believe you can shift drag select to unselect units. Nope.
Yeah, no. Hmm.
uh,
Not yet.
I'll add a note to do that. Um, but yeah, a lot of things ended up happening this weekend. So
Yeah, you get a lot done.
that's that's where we're at now.
So,
So it goes.
the only thing I worked on over the weekend was, or not even over the weekend, but before the weekend, was the AI, improving the AI a little bit, adding in the ability to do an attack move and a defend move. Um, I'm gonna swap over to my screen real quick. Um, and if you want to join me in a game, we can kind of show that off.
For sure. We definitely have different decks,
I don't have Steam open.
cards
Damn it.
as well. But if you invite me, I'll
I have to open Steam.
see what I can do.
I forgot completely about Steam. This is typical. I doubt they can breach my account with that information alone. Or anybody
Someone
could.
do it.
Someone will do it, yeah. Whatever. We'll censor it out or something. I don't know. Maybe I should have changed screens before doing that. But alright. I'm gonna invite you. Test match? Uh-oh. Oh, I don't have a valid deck, so it threw an error,
Nice. Have you
seemingly.
pulled?
Yes,
I don't
but
know
I
what
I
cards you
know
have
my decks
available.
are bad
Yeah.
because they're required property card count not found in JSON. Oh, I can't make a new deck.
Nice.
Maybe I have to delete the old ones.
If you want, I can push the current bundle that I have.
Is it not accurate on the branch?
No, I just made a few before this live stream.
Okay, yeah, push that. Um, Dex, temp. I'm gonna just delete this whole folder, this Dex folder, and then I'll take what you got, and then we'll try this again.
Ooh.
Very cool, very cool. Okay, Dex, new deck. There we go. Edit. I'm gonna call this uh, God's Hand. What are fun cards to use? Fireball, maybe Test Dummy, and Test Nerd. Do you have to have like 30 cards or something?
Yeah, 30 cards. You're definitely not going to be able to play Test Nerd.
That's fine. I just want.
'Cause that's what we're going to be working on today and tomorrow.
Did you get an invite? It might have invited the intern.
I did get an invite and I totally missed it. Whoops.
Good. Are you in?
Uh,
Ready up.
really? Should you
When
do
I
test match?
Yep, I might have hit test match. Whoops. That might be really dumb. Let me reboot. Also, let me build the server real quick. Don't look, don't look, don't look. Ah! I changed it to your screen.
Cool.
Back to my screen. Alright. This should be a bit less scuffed this time around, hopefully. Private match. Did you get an invite?
I did. Play game. There it is. All right.
I'm readied up.
Readied up.
Okay, it's going to take a moment to load the first time around. There it is. Okay. So basically what I had worked on, Test Dummy works, you said?
Yes. Test dummy works.
He walks and shit? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he can walk. Okay. So what I worked on essentially is I'm going to position this test dummy. I worked on, okay, Mr. Elon, spawning a base next to mine.
I will let you demonstrate. Keep my hands off the
Well, there's
keyboard.
nothing I can really demonstrate here unless you send a unit over, but
Cool.
basically you can hit X to um, move them into attack mode, and that would eventually change your cursor to indicate that, and then when you tell them to go somewhere, they're now in attack move mode, meaning they'll attack stuff nearby. Like you see, he's attacking the base actually, because it impedes his journey. Um, Not the most ideal situation right now, since that's going to take a long time. I'll spawn some more in. Send them over there. Okay, now they're both attacking the base. The third guy is going to just walk on top of everything because the AI is still not good with the pathing yet, but that's okay. Alright, they're slowly chewing through that base. Do you want to send some units over here?
Yeah, I tried to. They jumped into the acid bat.
That's fun. The pathing is so bad. That's one of the next things we need to do is we need to improve the pathing. Or we're gonna, yeah, we need to improve the pathing. Because it just
Yeah,
doesn't work right now very well for whatever reason.
there are a few things that we need to do next.
We need to do some investigating.
Getting there though.
Alright, my guys have almost destroyed your base. Boom, it's dead. And the one guy who we sent originally is going to continue pathing to where he needs to go, which is what he's supposed to do. Now he's in an idle state. If I click on him and I press C, that activates defend mode. And then if I tell him to go to a spot, now he's defending that position. Eventually, I'd like to do a visual where when you click on the unit, there's a circle that shows what they're defending. But for now, that doesn't exist. But basically, if Ethan's units are actually capable of making it over to this side of the map, um,
Yeah, there's a problem with the map.
is there?
Maybe there's a collider here, but they didn't actually fall into the vat of acid. They fell through the concrete.
That's not good. Oh yeah, my guy just did
Yeah,
that too.
it is.
That's
So I don't
weird.
know what that's about.
Try sending them down the other side of the map. See if that
Yeah.
side's got the same issue. That's interesting. Good to know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I just did a moment ago, but I managed to get the drag select icon or visual to stay around for a bit.
I
Pathing.
very intelligently covered the bridge, so if this side has the same collider issue, then
We're boned. I don't
this
think
is
it
gonna.
does. I feel like I remember that other side having that collider issue in the past, and I couldn't figure it out. And I kind of forgot about it. Okay, so I'm going to put this guy in defend move right here. Now he's defending a position. So if Ethan's unit were to get close enough to my guy, which he's not close enough now, but if he got a bit closer, my guy would wander off to try to attack Ethan's unit. Like, there he goes. He's going to attempt to kill that guy, but they have a lot of health. He'll continue chasing, but if the guy leaves the defend radius, which he didn't, my guy should give up eventually, and if Ethan's guy goes far enough away, my guy will return to his defense position. There it goes. So they'll
Nice.
move to the edge of the circle to try to intercept in case something comes into the circle. But if nothing ever comes into their circle, they'll just return back to the defense position. So you'll see they're going to kind of engage in a chase. Ethan's guy will probably win this engagement since he had more health to begin with. Ethan, move your guy. No, my guy's going to die. No!
So what are the keybinds to control?
C and X. X is
C to
attack move and C is defend move.
okay.
I was gonna do A and D, but we have those for the camera right now, so.
Right. Yeah, and those will be rebindable
But
later.
that's basically what I did, and it looks like it works pretty well, which is good.
Interesting.
Boom.
Yeah. So if I set my units to attack move, or rather, if I just tell my units to move,
If you just tell them to move, they should walk
they
right past my guy here.
okay. So my units have to be attack moving in order to attack back.
Yeah, well, if your unit, so the way the AI kind of is set up is if you give them a non-attack move command, they'll just attempt to move to a position. If you give them an attack move command, they'll attempt to fight any enemies along their way to their position. If they're just idling after arriving, no matter what state they came from, they'll attack anything that attacks them.
Gotcha.
Um, like you can see, I think you just idled that guy, right? That's not an attack move.
I did defend. Okay, so interesting. If I attack move, obviously it'll attack the thing that it's near. But if I defend move, then he'll ignore whatever is attacking it to go
Yeah,
to the.
interesting. Maybe I'll change that functionality to make defend move also kind of work like attack move, but maybe not. I don't know.
I
But
would say no because that was the only way I could get out of that engagement.
really, even with what moving normally,
Potentially, I don't have any health now to test it.
so I'm moving normally right now. My guy is moving normally. Um, they're walking next to each other. What the hell? That is
It's
trippy as hell.
because I'm controlling your
How
unit.
are you controlling my unit?
Drag select apparently doesn't discriminate right now.
That's funny. That's
That's
great.
pretty cool.
That's
So that's good to know.
that's cool. There's a fireball over here. Look at him. Okay. That's interesting to know. It seems like everything's working though, which is good because I was a bit worried that something would
Uh,
break.
yeah. Well, we got notes now.
Yeah,
Um,
cool. But yeah, that's basically all I did was I improved their AI a bit. The pathing is still bad, but that's like a duality problem with pathfinding and with the logic that I wrote for following the path. So that stuff needs to have like a major overhaul eventually.
right.
I think the main problems come from I'm using an algorithm that attempts to not adhere straight, like directly to the path. It attempts to like smoothly Bezier around the path, which will cause them to sort of walk off the map sometimes. But also, I think for whatever reason, that fuzziness factor that you used to have is still on, even though I'm pretty sure you turned it off. Because they'll just take really funky paths. Um,
But
huh?
we can check.
Yeah,
Um, we'll figure that out later.
I don't know. Yeah. The other thing that needs to change with regards to that, I forget. It was just in my head a second ago. Oh, the units, and this is something that the units need to do, not the pathfinding necessarily, but they need to find a way to not like walk on top of each other. They need to know where other units are and kind of smartly not walk into a position occupied by another unit.
Yup.
And I'm not sure how to handle that, but
Cool. So what are we talking about today?
uh, whatever needs to be done next. So your what needs I know what I need to do next. I need to finish up this remote event system, which is a system that's going to allow us to remotely execute events on both the server and the client for the game. That system, I was thinking through it a lot earlier today, and I've come up with a few ideas. The main thing uh, that I've noted that needs to happen is they're going to work syntactically kind of different than everything else in the networking system right now. So, you know how with the current networking system, you need to set up properties in order for variables to be synced within a packet in that awkward manner we were talking about it yesterday with the set backing field method being called in the setter. Um, the way the events are going to work is that instead of them being properties, you should create a field that is going to be of the type remote event, and then you need to not initialize the variable. It sounds a bit weird, but basically what's going to happen is since synced packets, and they'll only be viable in synced packets, by the way. That's another thing, is they're kind of limited to only being used in those. But
Sure.
the reason why you don't initialize the variable is because I'm going to have it so that when the synced packet is created, it initializes that all of the events during the synced packet's creation time automatically. The reason I do this is because the remote event is going to need to store a bunch of special data that it can only really obtain via reflection or via knowing the event needs to store the packet UUID of the packet that possesses the event. It needs to store if it's server side or client side, and it needs to store an authority, which is if it can be executed only on the server or if it can be executed on both the client and the server. Um, and those will be determined when the packet is created. So that's why I'm going to have it be handled that way, because if you used a constructor to construct those events, you might not be able to determine what the packet UUID is, since that happens during the packet's creation. Um, Same thing with the authority. The authority is going to be handled via an attribute, so that's going to need a reflection call. Um, and then the third thing, server side or client side, is determined by the uh, packet's creation. Whenever the packet's created, it'll be able to determine if it's server side or client side, and then fill out that extra little variable. And those are all needed in order to facilitate the way it's going to work. So the way they're going to work is that they'll have an authority attribute that you can set on them, or optionally set. If you don't give them an authority, they'll default to server-side authority, meaning that the server is the only one that can call the invoke method on the event.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if it's set to all, then either a client, any client that owns the packet, or rather the client that owns the packet, or the server can call the invoke method on the event, and then it'll get invoked for everybody.
Cool.
Most
So
packets will probably use the server side only thing.
click on the floor and have a little particle animation play for everybody.
Sure, that's a
So,
good idea for one that could be done. Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
Um,
that'll be very useful.
They'll
Hope.
only be viable on synced packets, like I said, because they rely on a UUID in order for them to be able to be found. But as long as the clicky thing is in a synced packet, that would definitely be a good use case.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and a good use case for the client authority version. Ooh. Anyway, that's all I need to say about that system. I have it in my head. Um,
So cool. Now I have not really thought a whole lot about the structure system, but it's going to be doing quite a lot. So the reason that we couldn't play the test nerd card was because it costs 5 mana. Um,
oh, I see that.
and we didn't have any resources. So originally we were just gonna make the main base generate resources, I think. And we were gonna have bases that you could create, which would generate cards and um
Whoa, you just
give me,
lagged. Either you lagged or I lagged.
couldn't tell you.
Repeat what you just said because it like all came through in an instant, so it was
Really
understandable.
cool. Um, yeah, we we need a system now to allow resource generation and card generation. So currently, cards are just put into all your entire deck is put into the draw pile, but we want to gate that. So through playing the game, you unlock access to your deck basically. And the way we were going to do that is through structures. So you can actually play bases. You won't be able to play your main base. Um, but we were going to have teleporters and resource generators. So structures in general are just going to be an umbrella. On the far end, we're going to have the player base, which we already have. Um, but that's going to be basically what holds your health, and that is the win state basically. Um, we want to have teleporters. No idea what those are going to look like yet, but these guys are going to be what generates cards and spawns units in. And then we're going to have a resource generator, which will generate resources. Go figure. Um, and without those, you won't be able to spawn units, and we won't actually be able to play cards with a cost. Um, so it's pretty important for the longer term aspects of the game. And we talked about allowing slots for modification. So currently, the way we have things planned out, teleporters will have levels, um, or rather, every single structure is going to have the ability to add mods, and you can have a card in your deck that you play into one of these slots, which will upgrade the structure one way or the other. Um, I don't think there's much else that I really want to say about it. I'm not going to focus on the mods yet.
Yeah.
For the alpha, I think we'll be able to get away with just having the player base, teleporter, and resource generator. Those are essential,
Mm-hmm.
but it should change the system a little bit.
An
'Cause
idea. Huh? Finish your thoughts
currently,
now.
currently they count as units, um, and they need to be separated from units because units are handled by the system a little specifically, and we don't want to have a player base running around. So,
Mm-hmm. So an idea I had a moment ago, just off of what you said, I'm not sure how those are going to look when referring to the teleporter pads.
yep,
We should definitely have, since all teleporter pads will kind of be functionally the same, and we were only planning on having one card for the teleporter pads specifically. Um, Definitely should have some cosmetic variations of that for each faction. So the tech faction would have like a very tech looking teleporter pad. The druids could have like a magical teleporter pad. And
yeah,
the maybe instead of a teleporter pad for the biological faction or whatever, they have like a 3D printer that assembles the
oh,
unit or
interesting.
something.
Yeah,
Do the
um,
exact same thing, but different
or
aesthetics for each one.
cool. Yeah, I like that.
And then you'd be able to pick whichever ones you want in your deck. Like if you want to have 3 teleporter pad cards in your deck, you could put one of each. You could put all druids. Just make it like aesthetically match your deck or something. It doesn't
Yeah.
actually change. You could summon any creature at any teleporter pad, assuming the levels are there, obviously. But um, you just that's just an idea for some more skins because we talked about skinning cards
Hmm.
potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I imagine we do the same with the player base. Resource generation
Mm-hmm.
is going to be specific to the resource type.
Yeah, for sure. I'd imagine that if you have like a resource like iron or something, there'd be an iron mine. Or
Right.
we have the 3 resources laid out. I don't remember what they were, but I guess
Old DNA and spirit.
yeah. So they'd be harvested differently.
Yeah. Or maybe it was blood. I don't remember.
Blood was one of them. I don't
We'll get a
remember. Yeah,
review
we'll figure it out.
of the week because I imagine we'll have the structure system up and going uh, to where we can start implementing these things
Mm-hmm.
by Wednesday. Then we'll have the specifics of the teleporter and resource generator implemented by Friday,
Cool.
which is a guess, but should have something to show, which will
Yeah.
be interesting because that's kind of the core of the game. Once we have that up and running, then uh, we can play or we can start talking about designing the cards, which I think is going to take the majority of the next week or two putting all of that together,
Yeah.
which would be cool. We'll have a card set to actually play games with.
One of the things we talked about too, doing once this event system is implemented that I'm working on, is uh, game feel, implementing game
Yeah,
feel stuff, and that's part of our alpha. Um, but yeah, it's coming along quite a bit actually, which is nice.
yeah, we're making big steps.
I can see a finish line for the alpha, um, which is a strange feeling.
Yeah. After what 4 or 5 years of video game development, we're finally coming to a place where we can present what we've done
Yeah,
in a I think we're happy with for the most part.
I'm pretty happy with it right now. Obviously, there's things that can be improved, but given the amount of time we put into this particular game, it only really being about 4 months old, this is quite a bit, um,
That's true.
quite a ways along.
Sweet. Well, I don't have anything else to talk about.
I don't
I guess
either.
we could talk about the actual specifics of the syntactic implementation of the structure system, but I don't even know what I'm gonna do yet until I
Yeah, I
open up.
wouldn't worry about it. That's something to think about. The only reason I went over the syntactic implementation of the event system is because that entire system is a code only system. There's no front end to it. It's just purely back end. So the only thing I can talk about is how it's coded. Um, but with like the structure system, it's a higher level. It's a game mechanic while simultaneously being something that we have to code.
Yep,
So
cool.
there's more to talk about. All right.
Well, I guess it's time to get to work.
Yep. All right.
Or yep.
Um, so to wrap up the stream, anybody who watches the VOD or is currently watching, you should definitely check out our Patreon link and consider dropping a donation if you're interested in the game. Um, the links will be in the description of the VOD, and they're in the information on the Twitch page. If you want to, you can also follow the Twitter account. We're not very active on there, but we're definitely trying to be more active on the social media platforms. I don't know if we linked our Instagram or not, but they'd be linked in the same place if uh, if they're linked at all. Um, what else? What else? Um, I think that's about it.
Yep. Yeah, if you're interested in following along or supporting us, subscribing on YouTube to watch more of these and hitting us up on Patreon is a huge help.
Yep.
But other than that, see you in 2 days.
Thanks for watching. All right, before we end the stream, actually, little bonus: 30 health left on Ethan's base. We're gonna wait until I win the game, and then I'll end the
What?
stream. If you look at my screen,
I can't see your screen. I don't have the
uh,
stream.
well, look on Discord.
It's not on Discord either.
What? For real? Well, there's 10 health left on your base. If you're still in the game, I'm about to win.
Dang, that's tragic. I don't even have the game running. I can't witness the slaughter.
2-1-0. I hope you're king of the pirates because they just won. It's a good one. All right.
GG, man.
Thanks for watching, everyone.